So your team is playing the Super Bowl for the fourth time in 5 years. Just making it to the big game once is a huge, huge deal. It's incredibly difficult. So congratulations, first of all. And I'm curious, does this make the Chiefs a dynasty team?
We're not going to use the D word just yet. We're going to focus on doing what we've done all season long and believe in each other and getting through Sunday with another victory and hopefully another Super Bowl championship.
Now, for those who are not making it to Vegas, the Super Bowl is the ultimate appointment viewing TV experience. For 5 months of the year, we know NFL games top the ratings. Alex, your daughter is a huge Taylor Swift fan. Has she been watching NFL games?
No, but she might on Sunday.
There you go. So everyone is watching football, including young girls, teenage girls. Mark, is there still an untapped demographic in the U.S. that the NFL has yet to reach or win over?
Absolutely. I think there's an untapped market in the U.S. I think there's an untapped market internationally. And I think, to Alex's point, our demographic reach has continued to expand. So if you look at the traditional NFL fan, over the years, like any sport, it has aged. And the reality is, with this product that we put out there, with the fact that the NFL games themselves have just generated this enormous rating surge that really separates it from just about any other content on television. And then go deeper into that, you see the demographic shifts. And our team, fortunately, is one of those teams that's been able to deliver really, really strong revenue, really, really strong ratings. And within those ratings, really expand the demographic of our fan base.
And of course, Taylor Swift responsible for part of that because she's dating the tight end Travis Kelce. According to one estimate, she has increased the value of your franchise by more than $330 million. Wow. Does that sound right to you?
Well, she's been a positive impact on the entire league and obviously a huge impact on the Kansas City Chiefs. I would say this, that she's had a huge impact. I'll go back to that demographic point, that she's had a huge impact in expanding our demographics. So to Alex's point earlier, her daughter is now a fan of the NFL and probably a fan of the Chiefs because she's a fan of Taylor Swift. That we've seen that internationally. And the timing of this for us has been really, really positive. If you look at what our ratings have done over the years pre-Taylor, we've been on a really, really good run. And winning Super Bowls and having success is a big driver of that. With their expansion internationally and the games in Germany, that's expanded that further.
Yeah.
Then you add the fact that Taylor and Travis are a couple right now and her international fan base, all of a sudden we're playing in Germany. All those things match up and really help us grow pretty quickly.
I think there's betting on whether or not Taylor Swift can get from Japan to the Super Bowl. I think that you can now bet on that. Mark, to that point, and forgive the question, it's really hard to know where to watch football in terms of streaming, what channel, and cable. For someone who doesn't follow on a regular basis, how do I manage that? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so it's been a really important point for our league as a general point. And, when you look at the NFL versus other sports leagues, the commissioner made a comment yesterday during his press conference that, we're one of the few teams, one of the few leagues that actually puts the majority of its content on over-the-air free television. The world is changing, and consumers are consuming content differently. I used the example of Germany a few minutes ago. Our game in Germany was the highest rated game in the history of international broadcasts. A few weeks later, we're in the playoffs, and our playoff game in the wild card round against the Dolphins was streamed on Peacock.
Right.
While there are critics of that, the reality is that 23 million viewers tuned in to Peacock. It was the highest streamed game and highest streamed event in the history of streaming. So the consumers are everywhere, and the consumers are going to find us in general. The reality is, back to that demographic point, that the streaming audience of that game against the Dolphins in the playoff round actually was one of the younger audience in the history of playoff games. So it actually reduced the average age by about 10 years.
Right.
So that's a really powerful point when you look at how our product is being consumed.
You talked about the Chiefs growing its brand overseas in places like Germany. How would you characterize marketing the team to a Kansas City-specific market, which obviously you dominate, versus an international market or even the national market here in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity for us right now. And I'll go back to that point about the timing and everything converging. It started with our founder, Lamar Hunt, who really, really believed in the growth of this game worldwide. And he was thinking that in the 60s and the 70s. Now we have the opportunity with the NFL to literally expand our broadcast rate, our reach internationally. I mentioned that game in Germany. That created an opportunity for us to just expand our fan base. We saw that in 15 and 14. We were in London to play a game in London, and we saw the same thing. Fans are coming worldwide to come to the Chiefs games, to experience the Chiefs product. And now all this is combining, right? You can this things live in places you've never seen before.
Got it. You mentioned Hunt, Mr. Hunt. The Chiefs owner right now is Clark Hunt, and he told Bloomberg News that he sees private equity investors as a potential source of capital for franchises. From where you sit, that obviously hasn't happened yet, but from where you sit, what operational value and best practices would institutional investors like hedge funds bring to the league? Do you think it'd be good for the league the way it has been for European football, or has it not been good for European football?
I think you've seen it across all sports. Look at the NBA and the amount of institutional investors who are there. The NFL does a really, really good job of this. They're very methodical. We look at things and try to learn from others, and then we try to figure out what's best for us. Our model has worked very, very well over the years. We've formed a committee. Our chairman, Clark Hunt, is on that committee that is looking at this right now and trying to figure out, does this make sense for us as a league? What are the pros and what are the cons? We have a meeting coming up in March, and that committee is planning to present to the owners their findings. I expect that you're going to see this in the future, but we're going to take it like we take everything. We're going to be very methodical, and we're going to do the right thing for the National Football League.
Mark, do you think that those kind of investments, if and when they come, will be passive, active? Does it matter? Has it paid off in Europe in the same way that you might expect?
Yeah, it's hard to say right now until this committee comes back to us. I would say that when you look at all the models that are out there, you look at what has happened in the NBA, you look at what has happened internationally with Premier League, we'll take that as evidence. We'll take that as best practices. We'll learn from their successes and we'll learn from their mistakes. So I think it's a little premature to make a decision right now, but we're going to take this finding from our committee and then we'll make decisions based on that.
All right, Mark, we got to leave it there. But before we go, you willing to give us a prediction on the final score?
Well, my hope is that our team and our fans continue to believe in the things we've done all season long, trust each other, and have some success on Sunday, and hopefully bring another trophy home to Kansas City.
And maybe then you can say the D word, the dynasty word?
We'll have a discussion after that.
Okay.
He's not going to jinx it.
I know.
He's not going to jinx it.